Hi there, welcome to the Point and Count training for 2021. My name is Jennifer Barrera, and also presenting with us.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Cutler.
All right. The goals of this training, we're going to talk about what is a pit, what night is the pit, why it's important and why it's important for you to participate. Also, what do you need to do to complete the pit? What are the steps? We're going to talk about the survey questions and also key contacts and what to do if you need help or have questions. As a reminder, this training is being recorded and will be available on our website for you to review or to share with other folks that need to get trained. So what is a pit? A pit stands for Point in Time Count. It's an annual count that all communities in the nation actually complete a count of all people that are experiencing homelessness on a specific night or point in time. The way that people are counted for the pit are through an unsheltered count, which is what we're training you for tonight, by people completing a survey for each person they encounter. The other way that people experiencing homelessness are counted in our community is through a sheltered count. And that is counted through our homeless management database. This year, for the year 2021, our pit will be on Tuesday, January 26th. It's important to note that even though the night that is our point in time where we will be counting people who were unsheltered experiencing homelessness that night, we actually will be asking the question or conducting the survey for the nights of January 26th through February 5th. The reason why we've expanded the number of days that we can conduct the survey is for the safety of the surveyors and the people who are being surveyed due to COVID concerns. Let's talk about why the pit is important. It's important, like I said, it's conducted every year nationwide to measure and monitor trends and changes in homelessness. This year in particular, due to COVID, monitoring those changes in our unsheltered population will be critical to make sure that our report to the federal government represents the changes in homelessness that we're seeing here in Rhode Island. And it helps for us to get the resources we need in our community. It's also a federal regulation. We're required to do it, but it also helps our system to help address the needs of our community. Why it's important for you as a surveyor to participate, because you provide essential services or volunteer for an agency that provides essential services to unsheltered folks in our community. So in order to get an accurate number of people who experienced homelessness on February 26th, what better way than to have the people who are already providing them with essential services to ask this quick, brief survey. The more agencies and surveyors that participate, the better data we'll have, and we'll be able to, like I said, leverage and get more federal funding, and also just help our local folks plan better to meet the needs of folks experiencing homelessness. What do you need to do? As a volunteer for the 2021 pit, we're asking you to conduct a brief survey with all unsheltered folks that you encounter during the pit date. So as a reminder, the dates of the pit, the actual date that we're counting the point in time is Tuesday, January 26th. But when we talk about pit dates, it's the dates that we're allowed to actually ask the question, where did you stay on the night of the 26th? And those dates, that date range again is Tuesday, January 26th through Friday, February 5th. And it's really easy. You download an app to your smartphone, tablet, or workstation. Lindsay's gonna show us how to do that in a minute. Once you have the app, then you actually ask the person that you're surveying 3 brief questions, and then the survey is complete. The survey is brief this year. For any of you who've helped out in previous years, the survey is very brief. Again, due to COVID concerns. Here is an overview of what Lindsay is actually going to be reviewing with you. It looks like a lot of steps, but to be clear, there are 5 steps that are required just to get you set up to conduct the survey in your phone. You only need to do those first 5 steps one time. So she's going to walk you through the one-time setup, and then she's going to walk you through the actual survey questions. So Lindsay, take it away.
All right, so first thing you need to do is get the Outreach Grid app. So if you go to the App Store, either your Apple App Store or the Google Play Store if you have an Android, and search for Outreach Grid Contributor app. There are 2 Outreach Grid apps, so just make sure you have the one that says Contributor on it and download that one. And as we go through, the screenshots that you see on your left are going to be for an Apple phone, and the screenshots you see on your right will be for an Android phone. So once you've downloaded the app, you'll open it to the login screen. If you did help with the point in time count last year, you probably already have an account set up, but if not, you're going to want to make an account for yourself. So you want to tap the environment selector. Make sure that you have the state of Rhode Island selected for your environment. If you don't do that, then you won't be able to find the survey that you need to do. So make sure first step that you have your environment set as a state of Rhode Island. So if you don't have an account already, you'll hit the sign up button. You'll enter your email and create a password. It'll ask for your name, phone number, and all of that to create an account. Again, if you already participated in point in time count last year, you will already have an account. If you need to reset your password, there is a website, I believe on the next slide, and that will help you reset your password. Oh, not on the next slide. There we go. So if you already have an account and you need to reset your password, you can't do it through the app. So you go to this website on the screen, rhodeisland.outreachgrid.com, and click the forgot password option to get that password reset link. So back to signing up for your account. So you'll hit sign up to create your account. There will be a user agreement for volunteers. So you have to select I agree in order to proceed, whether you're a volunteer or staff. Some of the things in that user agreement are more applicable to previous year's pits where we went out and canvassed, but either way, you'll have to click that user agreement, I agree. So again, that's resetting your password. So signing up for the pit. So you've created your account, you've logged in, and now you are at your dashboard, and this is where you do everything from. So the first step is to add an event code for Apple, or it'll be join an event on Android. For the training, you're going to use the event code PIT Demo 2021. It's going to be a separate event code when you are actually completing PIT surveys starting on January 26th. So you'll be given that event code by your PIT team lead for your region once that survey is open. But for now, for training purposes, we want you to use this PIT Demo 2021 code and enter some practice surveys in there. So once you've entered the event code, you'll want to join a team. That'll be an option either on Android or Apple to say join a team, and make sure that you select Rhode Island team. That's the only team there is, but you just have to be a part of a team in order for the surveys to be entered successfully. Just note, there in the information about the training event that you're using, there is a spot that says right above join team, current team. If that says Rhode Island, then you're good. You don't need to select join team every time. But for Apples, I'm not sure if it's the same for Androids, at least for Apple, the join team option is always going to show up. But if you already have a current team listed, you can just ignore that once you've entered your team. So the next step is to enter the survey event. You've joined your team. Now you're going to enter your survey event, or on Android, it'll say start survey. And then a map is going to show up. So you want to make sure you have your location services on for this app. And then that will basically put a marker in whatever area you're at. If the marker is not in the correct spot, you can drag it. You just press and hold, and then you should be able to drag that marker to the spot that you need to be. If you are interviewing somebody after the night of the 26th, so you're not at the exact spot that they stayed at, but they're telling you where they stayed, then you can drag that marker closer to the spot that they actually stayed at. You don't need to be 100% exact. Try to get, if they're willing to share it with you, try to get just the general area and drag that marker over there. Not everybody is willing to disclose that location, but if they are, or at least if they're willing to disclose close enough, it's really helpful for us to know the location that somebody has been staying at. So once you've done that, your setup is complete, and you get to start the survey. So you don't have to do those initial steps every single time you do a survey. It's just really the first time you get set up. And then the location you will be changing periodically as you're doing new surveys. So starting the survey. So you've selected your location when you're entering your survey event, and then you select start survey, and that will take you into the survey. There's a little script here. Follow it as exactly as makes sense for you. If you have a better way to ask somebody, especially if you have rapport with them, you don't have to give it word for word. But the gist is that we're letting them know that we're conducting the survey for the point in time count. And we want to know whether or not they had a safe place to stay at night on Tuesday, January 26th. If they say, yes, I did have a safe place to stay, it was fine, I was in a home, and then you just thank them for their time. There's no need to continue the survey. If they say, no, I didn't have a safe place to stay, or even if they're confused and you need to explain a little bit more that you're asking about folks who are unsheltered, then you'll start the survey and click that button. So this will take you to 2 screening questions. You have to answer yes to both of the questions before you continue with the survey. So you want to ask the person if this is the first time in the past week that they've been asked to complete a survey like this. If it's not the first time, if they've been asked before, then you can stop here. We don't need to complete multiple surveys with the same person. And then the second question is going to be if they consent to have us record the answers to these questions about them and their experience of homelessness. If they say no to that, then obviously we can't complete the survey with them. So again, you'll want to check yes to both of these questions before you proceed. And then you can click start on the iPhone, or you'll click submit on the Android. First question is going to be, where did you sleep on the night of Tuesday, January 26th? So there's going to be a drop-down menu here with a lot of different options for where they may have slept. Just a reminder, we're only recording these surveys for people who stayed in a place not meant for human habitation. And I'll show you the list of that in a moment. But if somebody had a place to stay inside, in a shelter, at a friend's house, in a hotel, we are not recording their living situation here. And just as a reminder, some options will come up in this drop-down list that are options that we don't need to complete a survey for, such as somebody staying in a hotel motel. After, in the text after that option, it will say end survey here, just as a reminder. Then there's also a spot for location details. So if they provide you some additional details about where they stay, you can just write those in. If they're not giving any detail, that's fine. You can leave it blank if you have to, but ideally just a brief description of where they stayed. So, you might say, Burnside Park in Providence. The next slide. So this is, this lists the places that are not meant for human habitation. So again, these are the places that we want to record survey for folks who slept in places not meant for human habitation. That could include outside, somebody who stayed in a tent, somebody who stayed in a car, at a bus or train station. Or it could be in a structure or a building that doesn't have heat or running water, basic utilities that you need to live. Places that are not considered a place not meant for human habitation, these are listed on the right side. So if somebody stayed in one of these places, then we don't need to complete a survey for them. And so that includes an RV with plumbing, an RV without plumbing that doesn't have a hookup would still be considered a place not meant for human habitation. An overcrowded apartment, it might not be ideal, but it's still not considered a place not meant for human habitation, things like that. So just a reminder, don't complete surveys for folks who stayed in those locations on the 26th. Next is going to be their name. It's really important to get a full name if at all possible. If the person does not feel comfortable giving their full name, try to get at least their first name and the initial of their last name or an alias. Again, it's really important so that we can deduplicate any surveys that we get and not count people multiple times. Next question will be date of birth. If that person will not give you their birth date or they don't remember their birth date for whatever reason, then you can enter their age. So you'll check whichever option you're entering. So if they won't give you your birth date, you'll just check age and you'll enter their age, or even if it's the best guess of their age. That format for the birthday, again, is kind of weird. If you accidentally enter it in a different format, that's fine. We'll be able to figure it out. And that's it. Those are all the required questions. So you're done. You ask those questions and you can be on your way. They've completed the survey. There's a few more questions that are included that are optional. If you are able to answer them, if it feels safe to talk with them for a little bit longer, then these can be helpful, but they're not going to be required. So you can skip them if you want to. So this will be gender. You just check one of these options for gender. And then just remember to ask them, what is your gender? We don't want to assume anybody's gender, so just however they define it. And then it asks about race. You can select any of the options that apply. And there's also a text box to include anything that wasn't listed on there. And then, are you Hispanic or Latinx? Yes, no, or doesn't know. And then you are done. So you will, when you're finished with the survey, you'll click done. If you're on an Apple phone, it's at the top of the screen. If you are on Android, you will click submit, and that will be on the bottom of the screen. Then it's going to give you one additional question. So this is asking about household members, and it's specifically any household member who stayed with that person in the same location on January 26th. So there's a slide bar. So you'll just slide for how many people. If one person stayed with them, you'll slide it to 1. If 2 people stayed with them, you'll slide it to 2. Nobody stayed with them, you leave it at 0 and you're done. Whatever number that you slide it to for household members there, it's going to generate additional sub-surveys so that we can collect the information for the other people that stayed with them. And we know for our data and information that they're part of the same household. It'll also be shorter by 1 question because it won't be asking again where that person stayed. It's just going to collect their name and their date of birth or age, and as well as the optional information if you want to enter it. So that's it. That is our PIT survey. We really appreciate the help with this. This is really important for our community. And we cannot do it without you all helping to complete these surveys. So here are just some key contacts. There is a team leader for every area. Make sure that you have your team leader's contact information. They're probably the person who asked you to attend this training. But if you don't know who your team leader is, you can definitely reach out to me. My phone number and email address is listed there. We also have a general PIT email. So if you have any questions, especially about you're struggling with something that's going on with the app, whatever it may be, you can email pit@rihomeless.org. And that way we'll have multiple people checking it. So we'll be able to get back to you as soon as possible. We have our coordinated entry helpline here. So if you encounter somebody as you're doing the PIT survey who needs to access shelter, you can give them that phone number or help them call that phone number in order to get help with shelter. 211 if you encounter somebody who needs other kind of general assistance. We have the domestic violence hotline, and then for anybody who's in a mental health crisis, the BH Link phone number. They are 24/7. And of course, if you encounter somebody who's experiencing an emergency, please call 911.